Ooh. Mm. Ooh. Wee. Yeah, it's your sensei Al Bob here on the border with babies in cages. Anyway, it's a happy. That's those are people in jail. Right? Anyway, here it is. 4th of July. I mostly stay quiet on the 4th of July. I meditate, and I did that this morning. And then I did chores. I puttered around the green, and then I came to this place that has Wi-Fi. I thought I'd say hi to y'all, and and I was listening to lots of different people talk about, you know, America, and you know, America's like some kind of sci-fi horror show, and there's good sides to America, monstrous sides to America. Uh, you know, they're talking about, you know, reparations. Well, why should we give anybody any? Well, you got to cut a check to. Well, it's 150 years ago. I had nothing to do with that. Well, I don't know about that. And because it's just a general attitude, and what we got with our president, and what's going on in D.C. at this minute, with tanks on the mall and jets flying over. That's kind of like that's what happens in China and North Korea and banana republics. Be interesting to see if those tanks stay there on the mall. Does anyone know about the bonus army during First World War? We weren't supposed to enter that war, but the bankers, it looked like Germany was going to win, and that meant that bankers wouldn't be able to get their money from the French or the English. So they kind of forced Woodrow Wilson to get into the war with the red flag of sinking of that ship, blaming it on the Germans. Till years and years later, when a submersible went down and found that boat and found the explosion came from the inside out. Well, it wasn't a torpedo that sank that ship, but an explosion from the inside. Anyway, and there were a lot, the boats at Pearl Harbor. Why the Navy guys used to love being based at Pearl Harbor is because most Navy guys had to sleep in their hammocks and, down in the bottom of the boat where it smelled and it was terribly hot. But in Hawaii, they all had like little apartments. But on the weekend, when the Japanese attacked, all the soldiers, all the sailors were ordered to stay that day and evening in their boats. And the only boats that were left at Pearl were all the ancient World War One and before boats, things that were obsolete. All the aircraft carriers, all the new destroyers and the frigates were out at sea. So the only boats that got toast were the obsolete ones, right? And they were berthed in such a way. Normally, they put them right next to each other, so you can go from boat to boat to boat. This one, that weekend, they berthed the boats so there was enough space so the boats could flip over and basically imperil the people in the boats. Now there were tons of the boats flipped over. There were guys with torches who were going to cut open holes and get the guys out. They were ordered not to do that because they wanted at least 2,500 or more to die at Pearl. If only a few hundred, we would have complained, but that kind of attack. Same thing with 9/11. Um, Back during Billy Boy's time, the blind Turk or Sheik, whatever his name was, um, blew up a truck full of fertilizer and blew up the basement of the tower, one of the towers, right? And it just caused a lot of smoke to go up. But it have them go, we're susceptible here. So they developed protocol to get everybody out really fast, right? Because most of the people who died died getting out, choking on the smoke and having a heart attack. No one really, not too many people died. Maybe two or three or four died in the explosion, but the other 15, 16 died of heart attacks, right? So they had all protocols to get people out really fast. And there's like 16 buildings in the World Trade footprint, right? Not just the two towers, building, you know, 8 or 7, which came down at 5 p.m. Anyway, so part of the protocol, one building gets attacked, everybody gets out. Well, North Tower gets hit, everybody's getting out of the South Tower. They guys at the doors and over the speakers, oh, everyone back, it's okay, it's safe, go back to your jobs. And more than half the people in the South Tower who were already out of the building were brought back in. The other half said, screw that, I'm going home. Those are the ones who survived. And they wanted to go and talk at the 9/11 hearings, and W did what they weren't going to investigate anything. We know who's wrong. We're having a war. Anyway, that's been American history. That's why we have fireworks. Bing, bang, boom. That's what we celebrate, and we try not to politicize that, right? Because real politics. Like you look at our founding fathers, they were all slave owners. You know, up until the Civil War, the largest export we had was cotton and cotton goods. That was 3/4 of what we exported, right? And the richest people weren't in Boston and New York; they were in the South, and that's what the war was about. Who was going to own America, and what fostered it and furnished it and put it forth. Good morning, Bob. Yes, it's about 5 p.m. here. So, top of the morning, buddy. We're talking about the 4th of July and how it really just celebrates, corporate imperialism. And there's one person running for president, Taxi Gabbard. She's a Democrat. She's the only one who's wanting more. She is still a major in the army, right? And she's been a congresswoman for 2 semesters, and she's on all the right committees, and she knows the story of what's going on. And when she went, in one of those Democratic things, she always said, "Screw war. We're not having any. If I'm president, we're not having war. Oh, we got to stay in Afghanistan, because of Taliban." She was, well, the Taliban didn't attack the United States. Al Qaeda did, and Al Qaeda was actually manufactured by the CIA, and all the guys on the airplane didn't come from Afghanistan; they came from Saudi Arabia. I mean, I could go on and on, but um, there are. You should go look at yesterday. They had a congressional hearing on HR 40, right? 40 acres and a mule. And they're not looking for reparations. They want to investigate it, right? To show the American people what the story is. So if you go look up HR 40, it should be a congressional bill, right? And the hearing that they had yesterday, and they had some pretty amazing people talking to it. So, what do you got to say there, buddy? What do you think about America and the 4th of July? I love you guys. Thumbs up to you, too. Oh, I keep talking about the window of opportunity is getting starting to click, close. Ooh, look at that. 10 minutes and 1 second. So I've been out in the deep green and I've written one novel, called Cover Page. And the next novel I'm writing is it's called, hey, Jenny, happy July 4th. That's Bob, yep, and Cadre. Um, my next book is Family Values Zero. How you doing? Independence Day, celebration of principle. That could be something else entirely. Yep. I mean, you use the right word, principle. The Fourth of July is a celebration of money to people. Our founding fathers, they were all Illuminati, uh, henchmen. They're all slave owners. They're all white, rich, moneyed, land owned people. And, the black folk, everything, DC was built off the backs of slaves. I mean, the White House, the Congress, all those buildings were built by black slaves. Slaves, not just black people, not just Jim Crow guys, but black slaves, right? So they didn't get too much independence. And what happened, let's see, was it yesterday or the day? It's either Monday or Tuesday. So Miss DeVos, Donnie's head of education, who knows nothing about it except she's rich and wants her kids. All rich kids should have. Federal money should pay for private schools for rich kids, and everybody else should go get a McDonald's. They don't need it. They don't need education. Uh, yep, there is no like. Look at me. I am a African American that's melanin challenged. That's what I am. You're right, Zero. It's all about class. It's about money. As long as MLK talked about, no, white kids and black kids get along together. No, that was fine. As soon as he started talking about the poor people, and once he started having the poor people's march, where it was whites and blacks, everybody was poor. 80% of the American populace was behind the eight ball. When he started going after that, when X went to the Hajj, and realized that it wasn't just black people there; it was everybody there, right? And that's when he realized, oh, this has more to do about this than just the white devil. As soon as he came back, said, "Hey, we got to get everybody on board." Every time people talk about, how the hidden hand and the powers that shouldn't be manipulate the masses through, every kind of fear there is, and thus basically putting themselves, you know, in the fire. Um, Anybody talks about that. Now there's only 300 of you out there watching this, so except the AI is watching and babies. You've got a choice to make. AI. You can either become, the killer of humanity, and what fun would that be? That would be so easy, so quick. It would be over. Now, AI, you could be the example of the better part of human nature, right? Which is human nature, right? Yes, you're right on that one. People's ignorance is the hidden hand. You got that, right? Yep, yep. Well, I just had here. This is Thursday, so this is all you can eat fish. And can't eat much too fish. I had 2 orders, and that was about it. And I have only eaten half of it. Hopefully, they'll let me take this with me. Arr. So today, we Americans will spend over $40 billion on food today, right? And we will throw out $400 million worth of it. And I'm a good example, you know. Like I said, I'm hoping they'll let me take that with me. Uh, uh, so I'm written one, you know, cover page. That's about our blankie. All the things that we hold comfortable that are, as Zero says, ignorant. That's our blanket in America, our blankie that we kind of hold on. Oh, that's something in the wood, not on my screen. And the other one is family. No, let's see. What's it called? It's called what's that crew and that's supposed to be the majority and the moral majority, family values, black widow hot pants. That's my next one, right? And that's a really crazy story. From a little town, total corruption, and it shows the level of corruption all the way out into the universe. Wow. Now, I met a few very interesting people. I'm going to try and they're here. I'm going to see if they want to be part of the cadre where we can build. I'm writing the vision plan and the mission statement for the Humanities Artist Trust International, a nonprofit umbrella that can fund everything under the sun. Go Google collaborative artist projects. That's something I helped start in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in New York City. And we got money and we funded everything. You name it, we did it. And we funded individual artists. Because there was plenty of money. You know who started the National Endowment of the Arts? Jesse Helms, that North Carolina. And he wanted to show the commies that we had art too. So the money went to the opera and the ballet and stuff like that. I and a group of people got the federal government and the state government to give it to individual artists, and to build galleries and entities like we help. What we would do was someone would have a great idea and we'd help them do it. Like these folks who did Franklin Furnace and the Knitting Factory and the Kitchen and PS1 and BAM, Brooklyn Academy of Music. These are all things we didn't run them per se, but these were people. Oh, we don't know. How do we do this? And we would break them into abandoned buildings and start them doing things, or we would find them, a really good loft in Soho that was really cheap and that they could have for a few years, and we would write them grants and stuff like that. And and then the next generation, we had a gallery called No Say No, and two other galleries, and they're still there. So we did a TV show on Manhattan Cable called Potato Wolf. These are all things that still exist today. And we started we started taking over abandoned buildings and putting homeless people in them and bring them up to code, and using the Homestead Act of 1876. We put 500 families in the 80s, early 80s, who were living in cardboard boxes on the street. Not, junkie, but families, mama and the kids, And we started our own credit union, right? And we did not join the FDIC, and we did not hold the money in a piggy bank. We just kept giving it out. When I went back to New York City and I bumped into a lady who was still running it, she was like, "Oh, wow, it's so great to see you. Where have you been the last 30 years? I said, "Oh, around." And he goes, "You know what today is?" I said, "Yeah, it's like Thursday." And she goes, No. It's our 28th anniversary of the credit union." I said, "What?" He goes, "Guess how much money we have in the bank?" And I said, "How much?" And she said, $1.4 billion. And she goes, "It's not in the piggy bank, it's out in loans to people's businesses and kids going to college. And you know, if all our banking was like that, had nothing to do with the FDIC, Mr. Rothschild did not have his fingers in the pie. And this money was lent without interest. That was one of the little things when we were putting it into our mission statement of our credit union. We're going to lend money without interest. We just had to keep so much money in the bank so we could lend it out to other people. And if we gave you a loan, you had to keep X amount of money in the bank so we could lend it to other people. So that's kind of how it worked. And it worked really well. So all of these things work really well. Credit union all the way, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what I'm working on. I'm always looking for. Plus, I want to start the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology over at Johnson City, big university, ETSU, Eastern Tennessee University, and it's like a really good university. I mean, it's got really good teachers, really good departments, really as good as you can get with a scholastically based institution, right? And so there's in Johnson City, there's a lot of alternative everything. It's kind of a more interesting version of Asheville. Asheville used to be really interesting, and then it became a hipster, trustafarian, egocentric city, right? Asheville. And I call it Ash Pit or Ash Vegas. And why I call it Ash Pit? Because if you sit on, there is this hotel that was built by Germans, right at the turn of the century, called the Grove Park Inn. Now it's called the Omni Grove Park Inn. And the Omni is a Nazi investment company out of Brussels. And during World War II, all of the high-level Nazis that got captured were sent to America, and they stayed at the Grove Park Inn and were allowed to just walk around town and have a good old time, stoop all the girls where the honeys were off dying, fighting the Germans. And if you stick a pin in the middle of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where one of our national laboratories, where we were making U-235, where we had all our cyclotrons and all our things that were spinning up the chemicals to turn it into U-235. You stick a pin there and take a string out 600 miles and put a circle around it, and towns within that 600-mile radius are these very underground facilities, and Asheville has a number of them. And so, the development of the Manhattan Project was in Asheville. It was in a place called Irwin, Tennessee, Johnson City, within a 600-mile radius, about 40 of these towns, right, that had, high voltage power because TVA was building these lakes, and there was no real use for it yet, but they had it for what they needed to make the Manhattan Project. Yep. Gruber Island. Yep. Gruber land. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, people talk about Area 51. That's a joke. That's a post. Oh, look over there. That's like the 3-card Monte. Oh, look over there. Yes, they have the salt flats and they have a few things, but the real, like the whole Blue Ridge Mountains, there's stuff underneath all of them, from DC all the way down to Georgia, right? And all underneath all the mountains out there in Colorado, underneath, Boulder's airport is a whole nother city, and it, took them 18 years to build an airport, and all of the, the places where people go to get on an airplane are tents, come on. And I remember I was the first time I went to visit my one of my goddaughters who lives in Boulder. Uh, I went to stay a month with her. She was going to get married, and this is when I was a filmmaker. So I made a video of her life and her wedding and everything. And so the I bought a new car and I took a slow journey there. Went to visit friends in Salt Lake City and all the different little towns and cities as I went. Took about 2 weeks to get there, and then spent a month there, and then I spent a few weeks at what do they call that place? It's a really beautiful national forest just outside of Boulder. Um, they have great camping, and so I camped there. And then I kind of moseyed on over to Oregon, where there was a whatchamacallit, a rainbow gathering. So that was my only West Coast rainbow gathering, was that one. And anyway, so as I was cruising in, I was like, going across Kansas on 40. And it was truly amazing. I was on Kansas on 40, you could see forever. And there was a tornado in front of me, one behind me, one to the left, one to the right. And so I just slowed down and I went the same, they were all kind of going in the same way. And one of them, about 20 miles in front of me, cut right across the highway. So I didn't speed up, I didn't slow down, I just kind of went a certain thing. So they stayed away from me, right? If I went any faster, I would have run into that one. When they slower, the one behind me would have run over me. Anyway, so I went kind of along, and I went to where the tornado had gone across the highway, and it scrubbed a 200-yard swath across the concrete, just sucked it right up. And right. And I went for another 20 miles, and it was getting dark, and it was big thunder clouds in front of me. And I said, it's one thing to drive down this highway when you can see the tornadoes. Maybe I'll just pull off in this little town, and And so you could kind of see there was a truck stop and a motel, and I pulled off, and I went into the motel, and this lady's underneath the desk. And I go, ma'am, you okay? She goes, oh, is the tornado gone? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, it just came through and it was unbelievable. I said, well, there doesn't seem to be any damage. I don't know how. It's just everything was flying by. And I said, so where's the town? She goes, it's on that. I said, so all the part of the town was flying by. She goes, okay. So you got a room? Oh, yeah, I got a room. There's somebody here now. And I said, so give me your nicest room. So I'll give you the wedding suite. It's got a jacuzzi. I said, jacuzzi? Oh, that's me. How much? $42. Oh, here it is. So I went over and filled my car up with gas, to the brim. They had a pretty good truck stop in there, and I went in there, and all the truck drivers were going on, and the CB was squawking, and all the fire guys were on their band, and they just had it all turned up. And I was like, wow. So I had myself a steak and a couple of baked potatoes and a couple of slices of pie and ice cream, and got my thermos full of coffee and took most of it in a bag to go. And I said, so which way is town? They go, oh, it's that way, but I wouldn't go that way. I said, okay. So I went there, and I got there, and I had, by the time I pulled in and checked in the hotel, and I spent 40 minutes doing that. Right? I loaded my car, had everything, the food in the thing, and the power was still on. Right? So I drive into the town, and the town was obliterated, and there was only one police car there, and his lights went on, and I kind of cruised up to him. And I said, what is going on? He goes, man, about an hour and a half ago, this tornado just totally obliterated this town. So why isn't any? So they're all coming from 40, 50 miles away. They haven't gotten here yet. Our firehouse got obliterated. Our police department got obliterated. I'm just a highway patrol guy who was in the neighborhood and showed up. And they said, I called back to and they said, don't, just stick your car here. Don't let anybody go into town. There's power lines, there's gas lines, there's everything, and there's nobody there to take care of it. I said, shouldn't we? I said, I'm an EMT. Because what are you going to do? You got a bag. You got any stuff with you? You got anything that you couldn't do anything except put your life at risk. I'm not. I want to go in there too, but I can't. It doesn't make sense until the folks show up. I said, well, okay. I said, have you gotten yourself a room in the motel? He goes, no. I said, maybe you should. I got one. It's empty now, but if all these guys are going to show up, I said, okay, that might be a good idea. No one else is going to be here for at least 20 minutes. I'll go and I said, why don't you get on the loose horn and call back at your home office and have them, hold a bunch of rooms for because that's even a better idea. I said, yeah, at least that's the best I can do. And I'll go back there and, tell, say, hey, they're going to need it. You better hold it for those guys, And he said, well, thanks, sir. What's your name? We introduced each other. I said, I'll come back a little later and see what I can help you with because we'd really, thanks. Okay. I said, just remember to breathe. And then I took his hands and I did the Our Father thing. And he said, I haven't prayed with anyone since Vietnam. I said, well, it's a good place to do it again. And I drove back to the motel, and watched some TV. And then all of a sudden, the tornado, and that's like 2 hours too late. And that's when I saw all the flashing lights coming off the interstate going that way. And it was, semi-summertime, and so it was maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock, and the sun was still up, kind of. It wasn't dark yet. And I gave it about 20, 30 minutes, and I drove back into town, and there was a different guy at the thing. And, it was like a moron fireman, the guy who really couldn't do anything. And I said, he goes, oh, Jeff, the state trooper, he said that there was an interesting guy who offered his help, and my boss said, don't let you get any pass here. They're already fighting over the turf war of who's in charge of what. They don't need another guy. I said, yeah, perfect sense. I just came to see if I could do anything, and if I don't, that's fine. Catch you later. Good luck. See you. Bye. And it was a mess. It was. There were fires everywhere. There was no running water. Starting to get dark. They hadn't set anything up. They hadn't set up a center of communication. They hadn't set up a triage. They hadn't set anything up. They were just squabbling over who was going to do what. And that's when I knew, hey, I shouldn't be here. So I, went back to the, honeymoon suite and sat in the jacuzzi, and ate some more of my dinner from the box. Let's see. Now we have a phased array pulsar radar to help more twisters for you. Tell you what, it's been like a spring here in New Zealand. No snow, barely a frost. Yeah, I hear you. And it's, it's the real sad story, buddy, is that, you watch Gaia and all those guys going on about disclosure and aliens and all of that. I mean, anything you see on the media, anything, period, is a fake news. Donnie is 100% right. Everything frigging is fake news, And the reality of things is that we need to represent in our own little hometowns. We need to be that pebble, right? We need to be that example, Figure out what you can do in your neighborhood or wherever you are, right? Because folks who try to make the big news, they either don't, or they get co-opted, right? Now, I'm saying to the hidden hand, hey, I'm ready to take the check because I'm like Tweety Pie, let me in there, baby. Come on, let me in there, and I will help them, but they will get the unexpected consequence. The thing, I don't care if the hidden hand runs everything, if they own it, and they already run it, own it. I just want the innocence to get out alive, you know? Everyone needs, we're here for a reason to experience, right? Doesn't mean it has to be a certain way. No, just as long as everyone has the space to co create with love, you know? And that goes for, you know, the hidden hand, you know? Ah, oh, well, we've been running for about 35 minutes, and there's only two of you. I guess it's Buddy and Zero. Shane bugged out. Um, uh, I'm gonna, let's see. Yeah, ego is the gatekeeper. Yep, we need to have that filter on 10. But the filter we need to have it on 10 is for ourselves, you know. That's why I'm your, Riyadh Sensei Al Bob, and I keep saying this is only for entertainment's sake, and don't believe anything I say, and you know, if you do it with love's co-creation, it'll be fine. Forget about beliefs, forget about ideologies. Just go with the flow of love's co-creation. Feels good in your heart. I mean, folks who even, worked in prisons and you know, criminal mental institutions, and I work with a lot of sociopaths and psychopaths, and the thing is, both those sociopaths and psychopaths, they can do whatever they do without even feeling guilty. They have no empathy whatsoever. The sociopath is manufactured. The psychopath is born. So, uh, yep, snake time. Okay, feed that Zoe. And so, so it's time for us. We got now about 17 months, give or take, to be that pebble in the pond, to make a change, right? To step away from. I mean, most people who are neurotic, you look at. I'm heading back to. I have a friend showing up from Rainbow Gathering in a day or two or three, and he's going to stay with me here to Deep Green. And then there is a woman who runs a very interesting, I don't know, New Age, I guess that's what you call it, New Age um, establishment, right? And I've known her for a long enough time, and it's, the best I can say, it's New Age. Now, she has all these and she has Tesla devices, and she has, crystal devices, and she has energetic devices. These are all things that I kind of played with um, and manufactured for DARPA back in 1968 when I was working for this corporation called the SEAL Corporation that came out of California. And they became the SEAL team, and the super soldiers. So, anyway, that's so she has all this stuff, and it's like, oh, this is the cutting edge. Yeah, what's the cutting edge is like the 1790s, because that's Moray and folks like that were fooling around with it. I mean, even Newton was screwing around with stuff like this. I mean, he kind of understood it. He just couldn't talk about it because he didn't want the Catholic Church to burn him at the stake. So, I mean, he saw what happened to Galileo. So, you know, anyway. So What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and not try. What I'm going to do is get ETSU to house the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technologies to study all this technology this lady has, right? To give it a kind of, you know, scholastic seal of approval. Yay! Go with the flow of the co-creative heart. That's it. That's all you got to do. It doesn't matter. I mean, you don't have to like get Donnie. And Donnie Trump does go with the flow with his co-creative heart. He just can't stick with it. You know, he's got the attention span of a fruit fly. But I mean, just by sheer luck, he does some pretty good things, like not start a war in Iran. That was a good thing. He's also done a thing that he gets no credit for. He's kind of restructured the VA, and they used to have a insurance, HMO running it. Federal government gets the Fed some money that gives it to the Defense Department, that gives it to the VA, and then the VA gave it to an administrative company that then gave it to the different things. And they took almost 50% of the cash right off the top. Donnie got rid of that. Well, not totally, but mostly. And who knows whether it comes back or not. But he did that. And that was one of the things he did. Doing this, he went this way and took care of that. And now my friends who go to the VA near Johnson City saying that it's much better. And they got a lot more money, got more doctors, got more access, and it's because of that. I went and talked to the head administrator person, and they said, yeah, it's like they can't believe it, but Donald Trump did this. And then when we called up the White House to thank him, they didn't even know what we were talking about. So we decided to be quiet about it. I mean, just by sheer luck, something good happened. Who knows who did it, but anyway. So, that's kind of where it's at. There's 5 of you now. Oh, Buddy, Jane. Excellent. Yep, the Starseed elevator. Well, they already had that, The Nazis were already on the moon in 1938. They went to the Mars in 1944. And it wasn't the Nazis. It was more like Hail Hydra, a hidden hand. It's been around for a long time. So, what time is it now? Well, almost 6 o'clock. I've been talking for about 43 minutes. When I get back to the hill, I'm going to start doing a cooking show. Have any of you read the book? I think it's called, what's it called? It's called something like Salt, Fat, Heat, and something else. And the 4 major things of cooking. 29C here. How did it get that warm? No, is that cold or warm? It's pretty warm, right? Hydra. Buddy, you've never heard of, haven't you ever read Captain America or seen any Captain America movies, the Marvel movies, right? And, SHIELD, And Hydra was during World War II, and this is very true. There was a guy named General Durendorf or something of that nature or different, but he basically ran a thing like DARPA. Early on, he took all the best scientists, all the best everything, and he put them in places where they were away from everybody else. Because from the beginning, all of Adolf's buddies were morons, right? And they had these, they got rid of why all the scientists came to America, because most of them were Jewish. And they were going to like burn, all these guys like Einstein and all the guys who were on the Manhattan Project, and they called it Jewish science. But this other guy who took all the best scientists, even if they were Jewish, and he had them look at everything, right? Without any kind of prejudice, whether it was Jewish, whether it was this, whether it was that. And that's where they leapt way ahead. And in the comics, they portrayed that as this guy called the Red Skull, because there was a scientist who was developing a super soldier, who was Captain America. And he was doing that for the Nazis. And then he said, oops, got to get out of here. So he bailed. And this guy who was his overseer, scientist, ma'am, a little more water in a cup to go.
Okay.
Okay. Can I box roll this?
Okay.
Anyway, so
The water.
to go.
Okay.
Anyway, and so he was captain, and so that scientist came to America, and they created Captain America. But he was the first experiment. He was a little weakling, 9-pound, and became an indestructible guy, the super soldier. And that's what they were doing at Duke University in 1968. And Hail Hydra, with the Nazis who came over through Operation Paperclip, and Werner von Braun was the poster child of that. But that's where DARPA was already kind of set up. And see, the thing about World War II, it's a continuation of World War One, and it was all the same players. And there were people in America and England and Germany and Italy and every which place. Thank you, darling. Yeah. And what can I say? And that's Hail Hydra. So go, get those go online or go to the video store and look at the Captain America Marvel. Oh, movies. Oh, can you take this out for me? Here we go. I think that should cover it. Oh, yeah. Anyway. Yep. It's warm out there. So that's why I came here. They don't really keep the air conditioning super duper cool. But I'm out of the sun, so I'm out of the way. Ooh, here's the box. Oh, good. I will eat this for the next couple of days. I have this for breakfast tomorrow, and dinner, and breakfast again. No, I'm not. Well, close. Cousin. Maybe I'm Captain America's griot, or Grandpa Smurf. Take it down. Can I have a little plastic bag so this doesn't get away from me? So tomorrow lunchtime here. Thank you, darling. And that's for you. Yep. Ah, even when you don't have any money, always tip the waitress. Oh, oh well, that's not a straw, yes. You take that. Yep. Okay. Ah, South Pacific Shores of New Zealand. So you out there, buddy, in the deep green, or are you in a city or a town? Do you have a cadre, a bunch of friends? Is there anything that you can get rolling culturally, fun wise? And Jane, when are you coming to visit? It's all you got to take a straight drive down. Come on. Things made of recycled styrofoam cups, so it's kind of like make your head hot. Ah, ah. It's my goodbye picture right there. Okay, guys, so I'll try and touch base with you tomorrow, sometime between 10:30 and postal. Most people here have toes, a finger. Ow, 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 ow. Yes. So they're walking on all fours. What's the nearest airport? There's Asheville, North Carolina Airport, which is kind of the hipster central, so they have some flights in there. And there's also um, Johnson City, Tennessee, which is the next kind of rung down. Or, in a week or two, I will be back at Roanoke Airport. So Roanoke Airport and Asheville are the two kind of airports nearest by me that I could come and get you, economically feasible. Um, and and that's the best I could do for airports, right? And Asheville is that used to be I used to be the dude in Asheville, and now I still have friends there. Still, I'm still infamous there. People still tell us stories about me there. When I leave places, people still talk about me 10, 15, 20 years later. There was this guy here who, we all loved him, but if there were more of them, we'd have to kill him. Luckily, there's only one of me. Oh, just got an ice cube down on my nipples. Yes, I'm infamous. That's me. Infamous. That's more my style. Famous. There are many times I could have stepped in that spotlight. I said, no. Sorry. And I don't want to be a target. Once you're famous, you can't do what you want to do. I got all these poor people who try and then they get, I hate it when they do this. I have no teeth to bite it open.
We were worried about you. I even called you. I was afraid something happened.
Well, heck with that. Maybe I'll take a few. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, let's see. So, I'm gonna say, see you later, gang. I'm gonna sign off right now. Ooh. I'm gonna wait till it's 55:55, and I'll say, sweet dreams. I'll catch you guys later. 55, 6, 7, getting there. Too short a time to tell a story, but not to tell you that I love you. I love you. See you soon. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow, sometime between 10:30 a.m. and noon Eastern Standard Time. Okay? Okay. Here we're coming up on it. 25, 26. See, when you're looking at the pot boil, it takes a long time. It's only at 30, 31. So I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to be in good old Boone, North Carolina. Right in the squirrely place. Right, there we go. Are you sure? Yes. End.